Mainline Films is happy to present, along with Spencer Fan 1937, the Sodor Heat Wave, Episode 15 of Northwestern Chronicles. Thomas had just came from the docks. He arrived at the Sodor airfield when Harold buzzed in. "Hello, Harold," greeted Thomas. "Hello, Thomas," greeted Harold. "Ooh, I would avoid the mainland and Vickerstown Bridge for now," he said. "Why is that?" asked Thomas. "It's nothing but trouble over there. Have you heard about the heat wave?" "Heat wave," said Thomas. "What's that?" "It's basically when it's hot, very hot, for a long period of time. It's very hot over at the mainland, and I think it may spread over here. That's why my pilot brought me back to the Sodor airfield." Said Thomas. "Interesting. We'll see you later, Harold." And Thomas went along his way. He soon came across Oliver, who was with Toad. Anything to say, Oliver? You seem like you want to say something. Is it just me, or does it feel like it's getting really hot all of a sudden? Harold just told me that. Well, whatever. Said Thomas. Something has to be up. As he went up Gordon's Hill, he noticed it was colder at the top and hotter at the bottom. He soon arrived at the quarry. There was Byron, the Sodor railway repair, but he wasn't working or moving at all. "What's up with him?" asked Thomas. "Oh, you mean the Sodor railway repair?" asked Byron. "Yeah, his radiator broke down. He can't do anything." "Broke down," said Thomas. "But he just got it repaired." "Exactly," said Byron. "My driver says it's something to do with heat." Said Thomas. Maybe this heat wave may actually cause some trouble after all." Thomas went through the quarry and through the engine wash. It was very relaxing, as he noticed the temperature was increasing outside. He soon came to the sheds where there were many engines gathered. There were Rusty and Edward. "Hello, Rusty," said Thomas. "You don't need to come around here." "No, I don't," said Rusty. "But I decided to pop over here. The Scarloli Railway is very hot all of a sudden. It's just like this giant, thick smog of heat just came out of nowhere. The driver said it wasn't safe for me there." Said Thomas. "Yeah, I've heard similar things going around across the island. Edward, what do you think?" Said Edward. "It's been a long time since a heat wave has even come close to affecting Sodor. But I've heard it's been spreading across the mainland, so it may come here." "Oh no," said some of the engines. "What will happen to us?" said Mavis. Is it going to do anything to us?" asked Harvey. "From my experience, engines may or may not be affected, but the railway just simply won't be the same during the heat wave. It'll be a while before we get back on track. I do feel bad for Sir Topham Hatt, though." "Why?" asked Thomas. "Because this heat wave affects railways the worst. Think about it. Sir Topham Hatt has to manage goods and passengers, and the heat will only make things worse." And indeed, it would. At Knapford Station, the engines were also beginning to notice the thick smog of heat. James especially. He felt hotter than the red temperature coloring on his boiler. "Ugh," groaned James. "I feel so hot." "Nonsense, James," said Gordon. "That's why you should have gotten a nice blue livery. Silly you, thinking your red coloring has it all. You're attracting all that heat into your boiler." "Enough from you two," said Toby. "James has a point, though. This heat may start to get out of control." "Well, regardless," said James, "I am sick and tired of this heat, and if it gets any worse, I don't know if I'm going to operate like this anymore." Gordon was just beginning to leave with the express. "Well, I'm off," said Gordon. As Gordon was going across the switch, the trucks took advantage of the chaos. James, without even realizing it, was pushed onto the switch and crashed into Gordon. "Ow!" cried James. "Oh, silly trucks." "Silly trucks," said Gordon. "More like silly James. You should have been paying attention." "Oh dear," said Duck. "Maybe this will cause some trouble after all." So Topham Hatt came out to inspect the damage. "Well, the express will have to be delayed for some time, unfortunately. Gordon, I'm very disappointed in you, and you as well, James. What caused this accident?" "If I may intervene, sir," said Terence. "Have you noticed the sudden increase of temperature?" Come to think of it, I do, actually. What is that?" I've heard rumors of a heat wave spreading across Sodor. Heat wave. That's no good. Well, if this accident is a sign of anything, it's a sign that this heat wave will only cause more and more trouble down the line. I'm gonna have to go see how just bad it is, how bad this heat wave is gonna be, so I can better prepare the railway. In the meantime, engines, be more cautious with your work, and always be aware of the heat. And don't be afraid to get an extra drink of water here and there, or stick in the shed for a little longer than usual. Anyways, goodbye. Mr. Topham Hatt walked away. The engines and Terrence were silent. He soon arrived at the Sodor airfield. Well, I guess this is where I could figure out how to solve the problem. And he went inside. So Topham Hatt had just left the Sodor airfield and it had confirmed that the heat wave was in fact a threat to the island of Sodor. He stepped out onto the platform. Oh dear, said Sir Topham Hatt. This is no good indeed. Hey, where's Harold? Probably in Nafford Station, said Murdoch. Oh, hello, Murdoch. Why would he be at Nafford Station? I heard the engines are forming some sort of task force, sir, to help you out with the heat wave. Well, that sounds helpful, said Sir Topham Hatt. Well, I best be on my way. Also, Murdoch, be careful of the heat. I heard it can hurt engines a lot more than I thought. Yes, sir, said Murdoch. Meanwhile, at Nafford Station, Gordon had to pull the express the other way so as to avoid another accident. He went through the platform. He had to go very careful on the sharp lines and edges. He didn't like this very much. Meanwhile, Sir Topham Hatt had finally arrived at Nafford Station. Suddenly, Thomas and Edward pulled up. Edward arrived at the station with Rocky. Thomas and Edward, what are you doing here? We're your emergency task force, sir, said Thomas. We're here to help out in case there are any accidents. Well, that's good, said Sir Topham Hatt. Speaking of accidents, said Terence, who had just butted in, I heard there was some accidents at the quarry not too long ago. Really, said Sir Topham Hatt? Yeah. Bill and Ben were speeding down Gordon's Hill. Apparently they wanted to get to the quarry in time, or something like that. They hadn't noticed the stop sign that had been placed on the line below. Boulder was very unstable that day. You mean today? You know what I mean, sir. Anyways, Bill and Ben raced down and knocked the stop sign over, and they broke down just as they went through. This unsettled Boulder very much, and he collapsed onto it. He crashed down to the line below. Oh dear, says Sir Topham Hatt. That's no good indeed. I'm going to need an engine to solve that problem immediately. Which one of you wants to do it? Bill and Ben? I guess I could do it, sir, said Duck. Thank you, Duck. So Duck went away. Any other problems, Terence? Actually, yes. Emily just had some trouble with the turntable not too long ago. She broke down just as she was spinning up on it. Now all the engines of the shed are trapped. Blast, said Sir Topham Hatt. Oliver, I want you to go deal with that immediately. Yes, sir, he said. He got a couple from his training when along his route. Any more bad news? Unfortunately, yes, sir. What is it this time? Well, sir, one of the cranes at the docks broke down because of the heat. Apparently, the metals and axles that was used to pulling up a cargo crate just stopped working all of a sudden. It was in the middle of transferring the cargo crate when suddenly Percy rounded the bend onto the siding with the Timoth milk tanker, smashed into the crate and the package, and the car and the Timoth milk tanker splashed and fell into the water below. Oh my, said Sir Topham Hatt. All these engines breaking down just because of the heat? I guess so, sir, said Terence. Edward, see to it that that problem is solved immediately. Yes, sir. Edward rushed away with Rocky. Anything else? Not for now, sir, but I highly doubt it will stay like that. Said Sir Topham Hatt. I've also heard there's a threat of fires. Forest fires, in fact. You mean Henry's forest? Possibly, said Sir Topham Hatt. I'm not willing to take any risks, so I think we should put the emergency team on alert. Where's Harold, by the way? Harold's just behind Nafford Station over there. Okay, good. Keep an eye on alert in case anything happens. What should I do, sir? Said Thomas. Thomas, I want you to rush me around Sodor where the accidents are, the most dangerous accidents, so I could solve them immediately. Your trains are done for the day, so this is your only job. Yes, sir, said Thomas. And a couple from Annie and Clarabelle, and Sir Topham Hatt hopped in. Wait, sir, said Terence. What do we do? Easy, said Sir Topham Hatt. I want you and the other road vehicles to help out my engines where my engines can't. And you ran it back into Thomas and puffed away. Yes, sir, said Terence. Unfortunately, trouble was near. Gordon had just went up the viaduct with the express. Henry's force, which was positioned near Gordon's Hill, was in fact starting to catch fire. One of the trees was starting to flame. What? Cried Gordon. He braked in out of fear, and the coaches were in the dead middle of the fire. Start up again, Gordon, demanded his driver. I can't. I broke too fast. Something must have been broken. Something was in fact broken, and the coaches were trapped. Sir Topham Hatt was nowhere to be seen. Terence sprung into action. Quickly, firemen, see to Henry's force as soon as possible. Right away, said the firemen, and they rushed away. The firemen went around and soon started spraying water on Henry's force. Passengers on the side of the coaches were beginning to grow immensely scared. Meanwhile, the engine car rushed behind the coaches and began to spray them with water as an extra measure. Harold took off and landed next to Terence. This is growing out of hand. I agree, said Terence. Hopefully Sir Topham Hatt can solve all these problems before they grow out of control. Hopefully he would. Thomas had just gone over the drawbridge with Sir Topham Hatt. They rolled into the docks, and Sir Topham Hatt promptly stepped out. Well, it's good to know that Edward, Duck, Oliver, and some of the road vehicles will be helping us out throughout the day. That'll have to mitigate some of the disasters. Suddenly, his son popped up, who was managing the docks. Richard, what's going on here? Oh, nothing much, sir. We're just continuing operations as usual. Quickly, shut down operations immediately. The cranes are too weak. It could be dangerous. But, sir, it's too late. And it was indeed too late. Cranky had been transferring a very heavy fuel tanker across the dockyard. Suddenly his crane arm began to sway, and his base began to move forward. Ah, groaned Cranky. I don't feel so good. Everyone, get out of the way, cried Sir Topham Hatt. Salty and Percy and Thomas jumped back. Richard jumped out of the way just in time, and suddenly the fuel tanker fell onto the track below, and Cranky collapsed. Ah! Where are you, Richard? I'm over here, sir. Ugh, what happened? Cranky, are you okay? I don't think so, sir. Well, the dock certainly won't be able to function properly anymore. And one of the workmen walked up. We'll get this fixed up as soon as possible. Thank you, said Sir Topham Hatt. In the meantime, let's try and focus on these other disasters, right, Thomas? Yes, sir. Richard, I want you to fix up the docks as soon as possible and get Cranky back on his right side. Yes, sir, said Richard. Sir Topham Hatt walked back into Thomas and he rushed away. Ow, said one of the workmen. You're just now feeling the effects of Cranky? Sorry, sir. I'll get to work. Meanwhile, the road vehicles were beginning to form a plan. George and Trevor were also involved. Suddenly, Edward popped up. Got any accidents to report? Asked Butch. Actually, yes. I heard Isabella is having some trouble at the Wellsworth crossing not too far from here. It'd be useful if one of you could help out. Okay, said Butch. I'm on it. And Butch roared away. What about us? Asked George and Trevor. Oh, don't worry, said Terence. I'm sure something will come up. Suddenly, Stephen rushed through. He panted. Everyone, quickly, help! The Earl is in trouble. The Earl? Said Trevor. Yes, his estate caught on fire. Someone needs to rescue him. He's on top of the tower right now. It seems like a job for me. Indeed, said Terrence. Harold, go fix that problem immediately. Harold buzzed away and rushed off to the estate. Let's see. Ah, there he is. And the Earl was in fact there. Quickly, said Harold. He ascended to the top level of the estate. Climb on. It's too dangerous, said the Earl. You don't have a choice, said Harold. So, the Earl climbed on, and Harold buzzed away, just as the top of the estate began to catch fire. He rushed away across Sodor to return him to the airfield. Meanwhile, an alarm rang out at Knapford Station. The diesel works was on fire, and the Sodor Fire Brigade was set to work. The fire trucks rushed away with their sirens blaring. Surely we can help out, said George and Trevor. Okay, said Terrence. Let's move. The 3 road vehicles followed the engines. As Harold was making his way to the Sodor airfield, the fire trucks rushed by a familiar bridge. As Terrence went by, he stopped. Why are we stopped? Said George, coming across the track. No, thanks. Anyways, why are we stopped? Look, said Terrence. It's Birdie. He's stuck. Birdie, how'd you get stuck under there? My engine must have busted while crossing under this bridge. Also, it must be very weak. I could feel it collapsing onto me. We have to get him out of there immediately. Quickly, anyone with a back coupling. I'm on it, said Trevor. He raced to the back and started to move Birdie forward. Don't get too close under the bridge. George began to help out, and soon Birdie was released. But then Trevor was stuck. We can't keep doing this, said Terrence. Some external force will have to help. Maybe if I tug enough, said Trevor. His wheels moved with grit and spirit, and soon he was released. Oh, phew, said Birdie. And then it happened. The bridge had finally collapsed. The track was undone. I'll go alert any engines that are coming this way. Thank you, George. Anyways, let's move along to the diesel works. The diesel works was in fact on fire, and Dennis was trapped. Help, he cried. The fire brigade soon arrived at the scene and went straight into the fire. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything about Dennis. He was too big for them. Birdie roared onto the Sodor airfield. Trevor and Terrence soon arrived. Byron was also there. Thank goodness you guys are here. We need someone to help Dennis get out of this mess. I can't pull him out of there. I certainly can't, said Trevor. I'll give it a shot, said Terrence. He coupled to Dennis, and with all his might he pulled and pulled, but the crane was pinning him down. I need someone's help, said Terrence. I guess it wouldn't hurt, said Birdie. He coupled to Terrence, and soon Dennis was freed, just as the crane began to catch fire. Thankfully, however, the Sodor Fire Brigade was beginning to tame it. That was a crisis averted, said Harold. The Earl of Sodor is safely inside the airfield, although I'm sure he's not as comfortable. I'm sure he'll be more comfortable once he knows Stephen is safe. Indeed, said Dennis. Yeah. Anyways, let's report back to Sir Topham Hatt immediately. Byron, Harold, and Birdie were left at the airfield with Dennis. Meanwhile, Butch had arrived at the scene to help Isabella. Thank you, said Isabella. No problem, said Butch. Terrence and Trevor arrived. It's good to see you're safe, said Trevor. Thank you, said Isabella. Have you seen Sir Topham Hatt? No, said Butch, but I have a feeling he's close. And he was in fact close. Sir Topham Hatt was making his way on Thomas. He soon popped out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, engines and road vehicles. The road vehicles pulled up. I appreciate all the strength and will you've shown us today, but we still have a ways to go. And indeed, they had. Thomas just arrived at Nafford Station with all the people affected by the heat wave. They were inside Annie and Clarabelle, and he had just arrived at Nafford Station. Nafford Station was packed to the brim with engines and road vehicles. "Whoa," said Thomas. "I didn't realize you would all be here." "I know," said Trevor. "I'm just as surprised as you. I guess all the engines decided to come here now that the heat wave is over." "It's over?" said Thomas. "Indeed," said Duck. "Now all we have to wait for Sir Topham Hatt, since everyone else is here." Said Edward. "Where is Sir Topham Hatt, anyways?" "I don't know," said Harvey. "He could be anywhere." "Wait," said Percy. "I think I see something." "Is it Sir Topham Hatt?" No, said Percy, "but it could be something similar." Harold had just buzzed above Gordon's Hill, and he was slowly arriving towards Nafford Station. "It must be him, chanted the engines cheerfully. All the road vehicles and engines waited patiently as Harold touched down next to Bertie. "I hope it's him," said Murdoch. "Me too," said Thomas. A moment passed, and then, finally, it was Sir Topham Hatt. "Sir Topham Hatt," said all the engines. You're all right." "Indeed I am. Engines and road vehicles. You have done outstanding work today, all of you. I am very proud of all the things you've done for Sodor today, as you have helped my railway run like clockwork, despite the chaos of the heat wave. I am immensely proud of all of you, because you not only helped my railway survive, but thrive. Now the railway is better than ever. The docks is repaired, the diesel works is no longer on fire, and Henry's Forest will be repaired in due time as well. All the engines affected were not as badly damaged as we originally thought, and thanks to your fast and rapid response time, especially from the road vehicles, various disasters were saved from progressing any further. Thank you, all of you," said Sir Topham Hatt. The engines whistled, some of the diesels honked their horns, and everyone seemed happy. Yes, well done to all of you," said Sir Topham Hatt, "and may Sodor live another day." Thomas and his friends cheered as the island of Sodor took a big sigh of relief. The Sodor heat wave was over, and it was time to move on.